While conducting some research on acquiring vacant land in the state of Maine, I learned about some unique and unusual laws regarding public versus private land use. Maine has some famous public lands like Acadia National Park, Baxter State Park, and the Bigelow Preserve. Surprisingly, these lands only make up 5% of the state's forests. That's right, almost 95% of Maine's forest land is privately owned. According to the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, MDIFW, approximately half of the private land in Maine, which is about 10 million acres, is available for public recreation. This is roughly twice the size of New Jersey. In Maine, it is a long-standing tradition to have public access on private land. The law in the state allows people to access the land unless the landowner has posted signs stating otherwise. There aren't too many places, if any, that have the same level of public recreation on private land as we do in Maine. You just don't see that in other places, says Steve Tatko, AMC's Director of Maine Conservation and Land Management. But who actually owns all this land? It's a complicated mix of ownership, from investment corporations to families to conservation organizations, that has seen major changes over the last several decades, changes that have had important effects on both outdoor recreation and conservation. Steve Tatko directs and oversees AMC's conservation and land management operations in Maine. The Maine native has seen ownership transition from paper companies to mainly outside investors. From Abenaki to paper to investments. Maine's first land managers were indigenous, specifically the Abenaki tribe, who lived, farmed, and hunted throughout much of the state. Abenaki culture is still evident in many places in Maine. That changed, of course, with the arrival of European settlers. Beginning in the late 1800s, for roughly a century, the paper industry dominated the state of Maine. Michael Hillard, an economics professor at the University of Southern Maine, compares Maine's importance to the paper industry to Detroit's importance to the American automobile industry in his book Shredding Paper: The Rise and Fall of Maine's Mighty Paper Industry. At its peak, paper companies, such as Great Northern and Oxford, owned more than half of Maine's land area, according to Hillard. During the 1990s and early 2000s, several paper companies had to sell their land due to the declining paper industry, management changes, and global economic forces, according to Tatko. This was a difficult time for local communities. The system of land ownership that people were used to for literally a century disappeared. In many cases, the new landowners were real estate investment trusts, REITs, or timber investment management organizations, TIMOs. Instead of viewing Maine's forests primarily as an industrial resource, like the vertically integrated paper companies did, REITs and TIMOs still harvest timber, but view the land as a financial investment. These investments are often part of institutional funds, which explains why Yale University, for example, is indirectly one of Maine's largest landowners. Today, REITs and TIMOs own roughly 30% of Maine's forest land, mainly in the northwestern and north-central parts of the state. Industrial owners, that is, paper companies, still own some land in the most northern regions of Maine, while family owners or non-corporate entities own roughly the same amount of land as REITs and TIMOs. Visitors flock to stay and play on Maine's private lands, including AMC Gorman Chairback Lodge and cabins in the Maine woods. Private land, public recreation. In general, although land ownership has changed hands in recent decades, Maine's long tradition of public access on private land continues today. In some ways, little has changed in most areas of the state. Timber is still being harvested, and land is open for recreation. But it can be complicated, especially for visitors to the state, to understand how this unique system works. What's allowed in one area may not be allowed in another, and some landowners, such as AMC, invest more in recreation infrastructure than others. For a lot of people, northern Maine is very confusing because there's no one place to go to get information, Tatko says. So it makes that recreation experience, unless you're in the know, kind of hard to understand what's allowed, where, when, and who even owns the land. That definitely is a challenge in some ways for lots of people. Gate systems like North Maine Woods and K.I. Joe Mary, which contains some of AMC's Maine Woods Initiative land, manage recreational access for a variety of landowners in the northern part of the state. In other areas, however, it can be less clear for visitors what they can do. While access is legally permitted unless posted otherwise, MDIFW encourages people to check with landowners ahead of time and follow some common courtesies. AMC uses a portion of its land holdings in Maine for responsible forestry operations. A conservation opportunity. While the decline of the paper industry led to REITs and TIMOs purchasing land in Maine, it also opened the door for conservation organizations like AMC to buy land. In 2003, AMC launched its Maine Woods Initiative with land it purchased from International Paper. At the time, AMC had considered other locations, including the Adirondacks and southern New England, to implement its unique multi-use land management model. But there was no better place to buy large tracts of land in the early 2000s than Maine, Tatko says. Every time something came up for sale, there was an opportunity to conserve it and protect it permanently for sustainable forestry, or public recreation, or both, Tatko says. AMC has conserved more than 70,000 acres to date through its Maine Woods Initiative, and is in the process of raising the money to purchase the 26,740-acre Pleasant River Headwaters Forest. Statewide, 4 million acres of land are conserved and protected from development, roughly 4 times the amount of conservation land that existed in 1990. And just as AMC took advantage of the land sales that occurred in the late 1990s and early 2000s, another wave of sales is happening now, Tatko explains, including AMC's 2019 commitment to buy the Pleasant River Headwaters Forest from an investment fund, where Tatko heads up a responsible forestry operation. There's a moment in time in which we have this opportunity, Tatko says about conserving these lands, adding that timing is crucial in land protection. If we're not prepared for some of these things to come down the line, we could miss them.